It seems the wastewater planning at the county or state has tied the hands of the towns for cost-saving alternatives. I think this must be asking for a comment on that. So, Eric, you want to start?
Well, it's a very easy problem that we're dealing with. This is an extremely complicated problem. It's got people up in arms all over the Cape. It is partly a function of the state, again, mandating the towns and communities to do things, which I think they've done to the cities and towns across the state to the tune of about $30 billion now in unfunded mandates. You know, it's come down to a question of regionalization, or we sewer the Cape, across the board. Do we address the problem areas? Who pays for it? I think it's very important we're not pricing people out of their homes. There's a lot of people on fixed incomes that are not going to be able to afford this massive betterment. So we need to be very careful not forcing people out of their homes. I think there's new technologies coming along the way all the time. And you get these cost estimates from the government, $2 billion, $4 billion, $6 billion. Sounds a lot like the Big Dig. Sounds a little bit like Cape Wind. But we just don't know the true cost. And that is going to be a massive hit to the people of the Cape Cod. One thing I talked to a few people about in the short term, it obviously is not stopping the problem, but it slows the problem. The remaining failed septic system cesspools, to get them converted over to Title V. We know where these properties are. Some of them have been passed family to family. And they're just leaching into the water system all the time. But that's something in the short term that we know how to do at a relatively low cost as opposed to sewering the Cape. That's something in the short term we could do to slow the problem. I think there's a lot more to be discussed, and I think we have to be very careful about the cost that we're taking on. One just quick note, a lot of people may not realize when you're talking about sewering the Cape, there's a lot of instances where you're going to have to take over private roads. And for a town to maintain roads, you think of the lifetime of the road, all the equipment involved, you could be costing the towns $1 million a mile. I mean, it's just insane that the cost. That's every town's most expensive asset and liability is maintaining roads. So that gets factored into the whole equation as well.
Thank you, Art. Jim?
I attended a wastewater committee meeting, and someone who I have great respect for at the county level, specifically in this category, said that you could sewer every single house in this particular town, and I can't promise you could still open the shellfish beds. I was devastated. I couldn't believe that we could talk about putting that much debt on the back of every homeowner and not solving a problem. So is it solving a problem to have us hooked up, or is it solving a problem if we've improved our lifestyle and protected the environment? We're going to be looking at a number of resolves based on density for solving this problem. There is no one single answer. Sewers, in my opinion, are not the single answer. And sewers being built until we tighten up the DEP numbers for discharge are like building a house without a foundation. We have built, and Orleans is a perfect example. Orleans Town Hall built a sewer system based on a flow count that was never reached. Their system is in failure. They then left their system, went to the Board of Health, looked at 39 others installed in their town. 36 of the 39 are in failure because the flows don't equal the design factor. We have a charter school in Barnstable. Beautiful school. The only problem we've ever had with that school is our package treatment. We took land that should have been reserved for schools, gave it to an affordable housing project so that we could put flow into our system so our septic system would work. And this is what we're doing to ourselves with our own taxpayer dollars. This project, this idea has to be relooked. Regionalization is an answer in places. Dredging is an answer in places. There's answers everywhere. There is no one answer. But we need to get our house in order before we spend money. We're down on Route 28 right here in this town. We're 18 feet down putting in a pipe. Your traditional foundation is 6 feet in the ground and 2 feet out. 18 feet, 3 times the depth, and you're making connections into pipes. Do you think that's going to be an expensive process? It's going to be an expensive process. It's a process that we can expect failure. It's a process that we need in certain areas because it is the answer. Sewers have been around in our society forever, but they always usually follow density. We went so far out of our way to reduce density that we now can't find an economic answer to sewers. Can you connect a house on a 2-acre parcel and think that you can do it cost effectively? Not easily. So we've got a host of problems, but it starts with good legislation. It starts with changing DEP. 1978, they changed the Title V reg, and they've never changed the flows since then. Never changed the flow since then. 30 some odd years. Yet our building code mandates that we put in low flow diffuse toilets, faucets, shower heads, but we haven't changed the flow output of a bedroom. It's an anti-growth thing. We need to get back with basic building blocks, and we need to start with a foundation and go from there. Thank you.